Yes, but I can control where it goes into this room, so if you could move it farther back where you're getting the whole board and not just one or two of us, that would be greatly appreciated.
I try to put it to where it's facing down the board, but there was somebody sitting here, so that's why it's right here.
It's a little intrusive where it's at.
There's nothing right here in front of me.
You're good.
Oh.
I'll email back when we get done, yes, I know.
Okay.
Confirm. Yeah, if you could get everybody.
I'm trying.
You have the right to record however you'd like. I'm not telling her she can't record, I'm just telling her she needs to get everybody or she needs to step back, one or the other.
She can put it where she wants. There's nothing we can do about it.
Oh, we're gonna start already.
You're damn right.
Yeah, I can, so. All right, are we ready for this? All right, meeting is called to order at 6:04.
There it is.
Alderman Shannon.
Oh, here.
Alderman Winkler. Here. Alderman Thomas.
Here.
Alderman Albright.
Here. Everybody's had a chance to look at the agenda. Oh, and make sure you silence your phones, please.
I know it's not doing our D&D anyway. Oh, so it tells me I'm at city.
Okay, so the first thing on the agenda is the custodian of record resignation. Mr. Weeder has taken a full-time job at the school, so he will no longer do that position for us. I guess if you guys want, you can go ahead and vote to accept that since it's,
I'll make a motion to accept the resignation for the custodian of records.
I'll second.
a motion to accept Mr. Weeder's resignation as custodian of records. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay, we need to finish this ordinance for the city attorney contract.
I did have a chance to reach out to Stuart Haynes at MML. He had sent me information that the mayor, with the consent and approval of the majority of the members of the Board of Aldermen, shall have the power to appoint treasurer, city attorney, city assessor, etc. If vacancy occurs in any office, the mayor shall appoint a suitable person to the discharge of duties to the office until the first regular scheduled meeting of the Board of Aldermen. So how I'm reading this is the same as I sent him our ordinance and the state statute. The 79.230, he also sent me that one back, and the 79.280 to go off of with our city ordinance, and that's how we are reading it. We also reached out to other mayors in other communities and for fourth class cities, and we are getting the same response everywhere, that it takes the majority of the board along with the consent and approval of the majority of the Board of Aldermen. I also had a question if we received the payment schedule for Paris. He said he was going to, you had him email it to,
Nothing
The
has
city's
come
website?
through from Mr. Paris.
okay.
Harris hasn't given us anything
Nope,
that I'm aware of.
not a thing.
I've tried to contact him 3 times and he hasn't returned a call.
Can you get me that, fourth class cities book, or the MML book, please? So do you have that printed out?
I'd like this copy back though, but I could send you a copy.
The mayor with the consent approval board of members, board of aldermen has appointed two, okay, so. Right, so the first regular meeting of the board of aldermen, which was at the last regular meeting, and at which time it should be permanently filled. So, when you have a tie vote, the mayor becomes part of the board to break the tie. That's what that's for. So, when there is a tie, and the board, the mayor is part of the board to break that tie.
Until the next appointed meeting, and then we would have to
And
revote.
we did that at the last meeting.
And it was still a tie vote, so.
So the mayor would break the tie.
But there eventually has to be a majority vote.
That would be a majority vote, because once there's a tie, the mayor becomes part of the board, and that would be the majority vote.
That's not how I'm reading it. Like I said, I reached out to Stewart, and we also reached out to other mayors in other fourth-class cities, and we're getting the same response everywhere.
Well, we'll just,
If I can speak,
go ahead.
I've spoken with both Stewart and Ramona and Secretary of State office. That is not what they told me.
This is what they told me. This is an email from both of them.
That's fine.
It was attached to Stewart
Right.
and Ramona, and both of our city ordinance along with the state statute was sent with that, and this is the response I received back.
They were very specific, saying that if there is a tie, that the mayor becomes a part of the board at that point.
Yep, that's what I was told as well from both of them. And I just had that reiterated today because I called and spoke to Ramona.
Hopefully she will try to call back.
I was gonna say, if you look at this email too, it also included Ramona in it.
Yes, but I do believe that you are misreading that, but, you know, because we voted on this in the July meeting,
Correct.
and it was approved. Then we vote for the ordinance to adopt the contract, and that's what this does.
What was approved in July meeting?
the motion was made at the first July meeting to appoint Mr. Mead. At the second July meeting, we went ahead and voted to approve the contract with him.
With a split vote of 2 to 2.
This, with a 3-2 vote, this is codifying, ratifying, whatever word you want to use for that contract vote.
Okay, well, I mean, we could push this till Tuesday, and I'll get back a hold of both of them and with your response and see if they could do a little bit more clarification on this.
Well, otherwise, no vote would go, because there's only a couple of things that the mayor would not break the tie on, and that is not one of them.
Okay, yeah. I can email them back and have a better response for Tuesday. That way it's...
Well, you're just gonna keep putting it off.
I'm not putting anything off. I'm making sure everything's done correctly. That's how it should be done. Everything should be done correctly. So that's all I'm doing is questioning and making sure it's done correctly. Because what I'm reading and what I'm being, guided and emailed to is not what's lining up. So I want to make sure it's done correctly. So you could take it as putting it off, but to me it's doing my job that I was elected to do correctly. You could laugh and smirk all you want.
No, I am not laughing, and it is not a laughing manner.
Well, the one that you did.
No, it's continually tying up the city.
Because I want to do things correctly?
But you don't do anything correctly.
Okay, Amber, take your own advice.
Anyway, can we move on?
We can
for
move
the
on
moment?
and put this off, but we are voting on it at the next meeting,
That's
period.
fine, I will get an answer from them and we will go forward.
Do we need to table this, or since it's just a workshop, we don't have to table it?
It's a workshop, we don't have to have it.
Okay.
It's, no, because we don't have to make motions at workshops. So, yeah, all right, Gary, you have your community building roof results.
Yes, I do. As everyone should have known, if not, did advertise for roof replacement for the community building that we all know is in dire need of being fixed. Ran it in the newspaper for 2 weeks. It was a sealed bid. We had multiple contractors inspect the roof physically. Sile was there for, I think, all, or at least most of them. We did get bids. Two contractors abstained from bidding after they saw the roof. It wasn't big enough or whatever for their amazing businesses. So we have a total of 4 bids using different materials. Quality Roofing did not get their bid in time. Our bid closing was August 30th at 3 p.m. They did not get their bid in that time frame. What we have is 2 major options. Hostetler Roofing gave us the lowest bid for foam, which is what is on the east wing, correct, Robert?
I never tore over the east wing, there's no soft tar over.
No, east wing, the one that has the ladder going from the 3rd floor or whatever, 2nd floor.
I can't.
Foam. That one is over 10 years old, so it does, if we're gonna go foam, then it should be resealed as well. This bid, we have his bid, I'll make sure you guys get copies of these if you like. Assume you will. The other bids we have was for TPO membrane. That was just specifically for the main roof and the west wing, because those are both leaking. Well, we know they're both leaking. West roof is leaking, but not as bad as the main. TaylorMade won that bid by thousands of dollars. So Hostetler, if they do just the main and west roof with foam, I don't know if my papers are in here. It worked out to around $79,000. If they do, then I do redoing the east wing as well, it works out to right over 94,000. That was the lowest bid. Taylor made the TPO membrane roof. Main roof, west wing, is 103,000 flat. Now,
103?
103,000. I thought my little paper was in here as well, but I don't know that I see it.
And that was Hostetler or Taylor?
That was Taylor.
Oh, I'm sorry, okay. Should I go get it?
Yeah, we-
And that's
we
main
give
and
it
west
that.
wing only?
That's main and west wing only. East wing already has the foam on it, so I don't see the difference. The big difference between the two. Your foam, your liquid foam, it takes a lot less. It's less labor intensive. They still have to do the cutouts. They're going to have to tear off sections of it. They got to do the cutouts. They got to repair everywhere that the damage is too bad in the. It's already deteriorated the deck. They've already went through all of that, looked at it. I did everything by the book, per state regs, just so that way you guys know it definitely is all on the up and up. They have to pay per diem, so on and so forth. They will not use the existing material that's up there because it's been laying on its side for a year. That would have likely adhered to itself. They will not warranty it, and they don't want to use it because they don't know how much of it's still valid. As far as the TPO goes, it's a 20-year warranty on material, 5 on labor. Foam, it's 10-10. So it's 10 on material and labor. I just want to throw this out to you guys to see where we want to go with and how we want to do it, because we all know, everyone sitting here knows that building will not be standing a year from now. Or if it is, it'll be looking just like the one across the street.
Can I have a copy of all those quotes, please?
I said I will make sure you guys all
Thank
get
you.
copies. This is just letting you guys know where we stand and what there is that's there.
Where are these funds supposed to come from?
The what?
The funds, where are they supposed to come out of?
Well, we can look at that when we decide what we want to do. We can take an in-house loan from water sewer. We can reallocate ARPA funds if needed. There are a number of ways to dance around or to get the funds, but the bottom line is, if that roof does not get repaired the correct way, well, number one, the insurance company isn't going to touch the damn thing unless that roof is repaired. If, in fact, they may have already wrote us off on it. I have no idea.
What was the Hostetler for the TPO?
Oh, Hostetler for the TPO, and that was just the main roof in west, was 124,000 and change. So he was well above tailor-made for the TPO.
Okay.
I like the TPO for the longevity, because you're looking at a roof that, and I've been around those roofs, and you're looking at a roof that'll easily last 30 plus years.
So the TPO will
the-
last about 30 years.
Yes, and
And
it
then the foam
carries a
is
20-year
like
warranty.
Somewhere between 10 and 15,
Average
and
life
before it has to
expectancy.
be resealed.
Right, average life expectancy on foam will go 18 to 20 years, but it typically needs to be resealed every 10 years. And if you do reseal it every 10 years, it could go 30 years.
10-year reseal, 30, okay.
It's like any roof. If you get large hail beaten on it, it's going to get beat up. It doesn't matter what you put on it. But the foam is a lot less labor intensive. Hence the reason why it is a cheaper way to go. But cheaper isn't always a better option.
Okay, well, we have the information. I am assuming that we need to vote on that at Tuesday's meeting.
It would be nice if we
Yeah,
could do
because then
something.
they can get on it before the weather turns bad.
Yeah, any way you look at the pie, on the foam, it would take, assuming weather, we always have to count on weather, but less than 2 weeks, start to finish. Absolutely. Maybe even, they might even be able to knock it out in a week. TPO, you're looking at 2 to 3 weeks. Because they also need, they would also need to remove the tile on that west wall.
Oh, the hanging tile.
Right.
The pretty tile.
Yeah. But I told all of them to, they can remove it and palletize it, and then we can decide whether we want to put tile back up, because some of that tile's already broke, so and it's not like you can find that tile any longer. But you can always, who's going to see anything the first 3 feet? Unless you're standing up there, you'll never notice the difference. If we want to put the tile back up to make it look original. But once the roof is fixed, then we can look back into what they started to do back in 2012, which was to get it on the National Historic Registry. Once you get that, then you have grants and 0% loans available to you.
Right.
If they would have done that, we'd already have that availability.
We're looking into a grant, but it took it was a 4-year process.
Yeah, well,
Grants take a long time.
Oh, yeah.
People think they're quickies, but
Yeah.
grants are always
but see, with
multiple years.
the National Historic Registry, totally different grant funding. That comes from Department of Natural Resources, totally different entity than USDA, rural development, so on and so forth. You also have the ability to apply for ADA grants and 0% interest loans and co-loans, which is we pay a portion, they pay a portion. But in order to go even look at any of that, the roof has to be fixed, or you all have to decide, are we going to tear the damn building down and condemn it?
Yeah, let's not do that.
So that is where that building is at. I walked it again 2 weeks ago when Sile was there.
Okay. So we'll have those to review, hopefully if we can get copies made here in a little bit.
Yeah, we'll
and
make sure
toward the end
before
of the
we're
meeting.
done.
Okay, cool.
Didn't have time to do that, I forgot about it. I had doctor appointments today, so.
Okay, so, we would like to look over, the contract for Sile. I did appoint a temporary employee to come in and help with the office, especially since the girls are gonna be going at training, and so, she'll be here to keep the office open. She's like gonna be 18 hours a week, during the busy time of day, and then, if we need her to fill in for a day, if somebody's sick, or if, trainings, because there's a lot of them in the fall. A lot of clerk trainings are in the fall. And then September 15, 16, 17, 18 is the MML conference. So they will be at that training. So Janice can come in and answer the phones from like 9 to 3 and just be available. She'll probably be able to stretch it on Tuesdays later than that to the regular office hours, but if we want to keep it consistent, then we'll just do like a 9 to 3:30 or 9 to 3 on those days. It's cutting it a little bit in the morning and a little of the afternoon, but not overwhelmingly so. Her application is in there, in your packets. And then this contract, I'm assuming, Mr. Mead, that contract look over will have to be in a closed session because it's discussing very particular points for hiring for an individual employee.
I don't think so. It doesn't deal with a specific employee, does it?
Yes.
Oh, well,
Yes.
then, yeah. Then,
Yes,
yeah,
it's a specific person.
Then we need it closed.
Okay, so we can either do that. I was going to try to get this meeting gone through and then possibly go through that this evening if it's okay, if we've got plenty of time. And then also Tammy Adams, I would like to, have you guys think about making her city clerk, because that would then make her custodian of records as well, and, because that's a given unless you have lots and lots of employees. But I need for the board to at least consider that.
Did we ever reach out to the other one that applied for an interview? I know Robert and I both had asked to be
I
able
called
to.
the one lady, and she's already accepted a full-time position at another place of business. The other lady that was in Flemington, I've already spoken with her, and as I told you at that meeting, if you want to speak to her, you're going to have to call and make that appointment, because I'm not going to speak for you as far as your time frame goes. And I've already spoken to her. I don't need to again for a partial interview. And if you want to bring her in for a full interview after you speak to her, that's fine. But the rest of us don't. I don't need to be there if the other ones want to be. But
Can I get all that information for all of that?
I thought you had it in your packet earlier. But
I didn't.
Tammy could probably get that for you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so the next thing is to review your meeting minutes, treasurer's report, your budgets, your bank statements. So those should all be in your packets for your review for the Tuesday meeting. And then, Mr. Mead, did you have any, did you review that other set of minutes? Are they okay, or if we want to address them at the,
It's right there.
we can just go ahead and do the,
Yeah.
Here? Oh.
all the minutes together, but if you would review those, I'd appreciate that.
I would like to make a motion to amend the minutes for July 9th, July 31st, and August 28th. They are not, I mean, if you watch the live stream videos and follow along, I mean, they are not correct. And then I would also like to receive a copy of my resignation, because I wasn't informed that I resigned.
Yeah. Well, we figured we'd have to amend that, but it was a motion that was made, so it has to be recorded.
Who made the motion? I didn't resign though. Robert didn't resign.
Amber made the motion.
I made the motion, because you guys walked out without being dismissed.
We-
I assumed you could.
How many of you, we were told he couldn't attend the meeting.
He couldn't, but
He
you
couldn't
decided to
attend the
walk out
closed
with him.
session,
That's,
only the closed session.
that's not what was
Where
said.
where's the case law for that? It only states that,
I got clarification, that's why it does need to be amended.
Here's what
You
was
do have
said,
the
is
right.
that I would not give the board legal advice with the opposing party here. That's what was said.
That's right.
And I had asked before for clarification of what that meeting entailed, and I did not get it.
Well,
I had addressed-
We got told that it was a conflict of interest for Alderman Thomas to be in the meeting.
I had addressed that closed session has not been legal and it's not followed the agenda. So therefore, I wasn't participating in legal things and legal activities. So therefore, that's not me resigning by refusing to participate in illegal meetings discussing things that aren't on the agenda.
But it was on the agenda.
The closed
The
session was on
motion
the
was
agenda.
made for litigation, how is that not? We
Things.
have never had what is going to
We
be
are not
discussed in a
following the
closed session.
agenda for closed session.
Okay, you're gonna have to be more specific.
Yeah.
I can't without violating closed session. So I guess I'll reach out to my attorney and see what I can and cannot say,
So-
because without violating what's been said in closed session, I can't say, okay, we violated this because closed session said this and we talked about this, this, and this wasn't on the agenda.
But do you agree that the board legally went into closed session?
It was a roll call vote to go into litigation and personnel.
And another
And
thing,
the hiring,
we had a
firing.
board member, I don't know who was in the room with Amber. Electronic devices cannot be back in closed session. I don't know who was listening in the same room with her that could listen to closed session. You can't take electronic devices into closed session, and that no recording devices can go back there.
I see your point on that. We'd have to definitely double check on that. But since nothing was discussed in closed session,
Well, I wasn't there, so I don't know.
Well, that was your choice not to be there, though.
Correct, because illegal things happen in closed session that I'm
But-
not willing to participate in.
well, why did you not bring that up at the time? if
I
you
did,
knew
I said it, you could watch the video, you could watch the minute back, I did address it at the last meeting. I did address it before
Did
we
you
went into closed
you
session.
address the electronics in closed session?
We're gonna
Sure
go
you
back
did.
and forth. I'm in,
But either way, we did not discuss anything because you guys left.
okay. It's not me resigning.
Well, that wasn't in closed session, that was out here after we came out of closed session.
You were nowhere to be found.
So,
Well, we were found,
yeah, you were told that we were coming back out of closed session.
and we said we
refused to come
weren't
back in the
participating in
building.
illegal, an illegal
When you
meeting.
come back out of closed session,
Okay.
it's not illegal for you to be in here.
So no, it does need to be amended, because a long time ago, yes, if you left like that, then that was your resignation and we could accept that, but in the last couple of years, they've changed that, so.
Oh, I know.
So, I mean, that can be addressed.
And then the July 9th, I mean, it's a 5-hour video. I have just 45 minutes of 3 pages of things that weren't discussed, things that were said that aren't even documented.
Okay, are they just discussions?
It is important factual information. Certain things we put word to word with certain community members talking, but then, important stuff that, we ask for stuff and everything else. It's just we pick and choose what we want to document and we lead out.
We don't do word for word on any type of minutes.
Okay.
Go back from the very beginning of time, and there has never been word for word every single thing that has
There
ever
is
been
on a
discussed.
section, you could watch the video.
And it may be because part of that was pertinent to the motions,
No.
but
So then enlighten us, please.
yes, it is open session, go ahead.
Okay,
Do your paragraph numbers, please.
I could go back, let's see. In hiring the attorney we asked for a scheduling fee for Mr. Parrish. You requested that he send it to that email, for the board to look over it.
Where are you at? Where are you at within the minutes?
The first
July
section,
ninth.
July
9th, yes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 paragraph.
Right, so we discussed attorney candidate Dakota Paris. The council asked an array of questions, where he learned the open position, that's all. And we did ask him if he was doing one or both or all of that.
Just like Alderman Shannon made the motion to approve the minutes from April 9th.
Okay,
No,
wait a minute, wait.
Stop.
Finish
what's wrong
this
with
thought
paragraph?
in this paragraph, what's wrong with it?
You don't have anything that we had asked Mr. Paris for his pay schedule, nothing that he had to email it to you, and then you guys are saying that you never received anything.
Yeah,
Well, I can
that's
clarify
not
that.
pertinent.
I can clarify that. If you would like, as far as, because that did not happen during the meeting. That was between he, I, and a couple other people standing outside as far as his pay schedule would be. And he
It did happen
informed
in
me
the
that he
meeting.
did not want any part of city attorney. He only wanted the prosecutorial attorney position at that time, and he would talk with his superior to see if they were even willing to do that. And I've tried 3 times to make contact with them since.
Okay, the section after that, Gary made a motion to approve minutes from April 9th, 19th, open and closed session, May 14th, July 11th, 26th. It says Alderman Winkler seconded, and the motion carries. There was nothing discussed in there that we had asked for the minutes to be revised because of false information. You had said, too bad I'm not rewriting them.
I'm not. They are, whoever writes those minutes, and this is where you come into, when you have a city clerk, they're their minutes. At that time, we didn't have a city clerk, So I wrote the minutes. Those
So-
are my minutes.
But we
And-
approved open and close, and we never received close. I even asked in the video to receive closed session.
You do not receive them. You may read them, but you do not receive them to take home.
Then how do we approve closed session if I've never seen them? And I
They were in
asked,
your,
no,
they were handed out.
you could watch the packet. You even said that they're in your packet, and I specifically showed you my whole entire packet. They were not in my packet, and then you asked Tammy where they were. And we never received them.
I'm pretty sure you got them. But
You can watch back in the video. I do want to address the part of Miss Johnson on the third page. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 paragraphs down. She had stated that she had got in contact with Stuart Haynes at MML regarding the petition for the state audit, and that Mr. Haynes had told her that they are, the audit does not address possible fraudulent misappropriation of funds and the accuracy of that. If you look at the email that I received from them, that is not what he had said. He had clarified that on the top part of the email. He believed that it would absolutely catch any misappropriations or funds, as well as a private audit. However, neither audit will necessarily fix the underlying issues. He also wasn't aware that we were multiple years behind on an internal audit. So her statements do not add up with that.
okay, now here's the thing with that. This is what was said at the time. That was brought up after the fact. So to amend the minutes, that's not going to happen.
Okay.
Because you don't have that information at the time.
Okay, the following paragraph. The council had discussed about KPM finishing up 20, 21, 22 audits. Alderman Albright stated that they would not be released until they had answers. Mayor Ration stated that the board needs to agree on a report. There was lengthy discussion that Robert and I went and took time out of our day to meet with KPM. There was multiple discussion of what KPM had actually said and what went down. It's just seeming like we're choosing what to put in there and what not. And it has nothing about what Alderman Thomas had stated. And our interview with Matt at KPM. I mean, I could go on for days. Like I said, this video alone was almost 5 hours. It's incorrect, so I'm not going to approve it. And I did not resign.
Well, we've already told you that we can adjust and amend that. So there's that. As far as the other parts in here, if if you would like to change the process on how we keep minutes to where it's motions only, we can do that. There will be no discussions, motions only. I don't recommend that. Mr. Mead may have a legal opinion on that.
The purpose of minutes is to put in writing what was said. It's not a matter of going back and arguing with what was said is right, correct, proper. The fact that there was a motion to accept a resignation ought properly be in the minutes because that's a reflection of what happened.
And that's what it's supposed to be.
Now-
It's supposed to be both sides, but it's only one-sided.
Well,
and that's what I have the issue with, is you're
I've-
only documenting one side of what actually was
Well-
said by certain members and certain...
Was there anything said that wasn't put in those minutes that you're aware of?
Absolutely.
That the general conversation was about. I
What-
mean, because
what
if you
was-
want word
I mean,
for
if you
word
want me to-
verbatim minutes,
No, if you want me to go through and type it all up and have it ready for Tuesday, absolutely I will.
no, you're not.
My understanding,
Tammy's
you
gonna
weren't
keep-
there to know what was said during the course of those minutes.
I was there for all of them but 2.
Okay, well, how can you argue about,
I'm not arguing about the ones I wasn't there for.
Okay.
I'm not arguing about that. I'm arguing about
Fair-
the ones I
fair
was
enough.
there for.
but in my opinion, everything that happened and that was recorded as far as the minutes ought to be in the minutes. And the notion of the resignation, the motion not being proper, that should be in today's minutes. And later not argued about, just what was said is what is said. We can't argue with recorded history.
Absolutely.
So then are you stating, Mr. Mead, that they should be word for word like she's asking for?
No, they should be
It should just be a
summaries of
general
what was
summary of what was
discussed.
discussed about.
We discussed the roof and the possibility of repairing it, and there were 3 bids and X, Y, and Z. And there's no reason to go back and argue that the minute should be changed because we didn't like this one bid here, or we think that bid was lousy, or these people are from a different town and shouldn't be bidding in the first place. If there's something factual that needs to be changed, the Jones bid was $2,500, not $3,200, then that should be changed and amended to reflect what was actually said in the meeting, should that error be agreed upon by everyone.
And that's my frustration is we're putting word for certain people and certain topics, but we're not doing it for others. And then community, when they sunshine request, these papers, it's looking at it as it's one-sided, and they're saying, oh, well, you said this was an issue, but you never addressed it. Well, yes, I addressed it. You could go back and watch the video, but it wasn't properly documented that it was, actually discussed. That's my issue.
Okay, so if you could take your draft and pencil in what you think should have been said or added, but we can adjust it a little bit, but the general conversation is all that needs to be reflected. It does not need to be specific. Alderman Albright said this. The board discussed this.
And I agree with that, but just like the KPM, that is with our internal audits, that should have been documented. There was a full conversation about it. We had discussed that we went and met with them and what their findings were, and why we wanted to push for the state audit, which we did get enough signatures and are able to do that.
We know all about that. So, are you saying that on the KPM part, that we are incorrect, that finishing up the 20, 21, and 22 audits is incorrect or not accurate?
I think it needs to be documented that, Robert and I did go meet with him, and he said, yes, there was a lot of discrepancies, and he didn't feel comfortable moving on. I think it needs to go into a little more detail, because that is a very important detail.
But that's not factual. That's just your guys' side of the story, because I didn't get any of that report.
You want me to send you the recording
I
of the
would
whole
prefer
conversation?
if actually you wrote it out and submitted it as a report.
Okay.
And that would be hearsay. And hearsay ought not be put into
does he even know that you
minutes.
recorded the whole conversation? Not at KPM?
Missouri's a one-record state, honey.
Oh, was you in his office recording him?
That sounds like.
Are you?
Wow.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you need to let him know that you recorded the whole conversation. Because,
And if you did that on behalf of the city, that's city property.
yes, you were there representing the city, and I'm not so sure that's,
Make sure that gets in the minutes.
am I understanding you that you
No,
recorded
you
Matt
can-
Wallace in his office?
You can take it however you want. I have proof of the conversation, and
You already
we
said
can move
that you
forward.
recorded the conversation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can you give us copies of that? Well, we can get copies.
Okay, well, let's just get on.
Let's please.
Okay, fire department, do you have anything that you're gonna bring to the next meeting?
Can I ask him a question?
Sure.
Please do.
Any update on possible area truck?
No,
Possible leave?
we've looked at several, but,
They were all too high, right?
well, a majority of them are extremely high.
I meant different kind of height, but yeah.
Price tag, yes. The ones that are in that bracket seem to have different issues. That we could spend that amount of money, but then we'd have to spend another chunk to make that work, and I don't think that that's necessary.
What height aerial truck do we absolutely have to have? I mean, I know there's various.
I'm looking at something in the range of 75 to 100. I
Okay,
think that would, community building, for instance.
right.
Yeah, because it'd have to be at least 75 to get just to that rooftop. It's 54 feet or something like that?
54 feet.
Well, keep actively looking, please.
We are.
City employees, assuming you're speaking for John?
I guess.
Uh-huh, okay. Do you have anything major that you're gonna bring up for the meeting? It'll be a handwritten report or typed up report, correct?
Yes. We'll have typed up report.
The progress with all of the lead and copper pipes and all that stuff, just put all that in that, excuse me, report if you would. Okay. Mark, I know you're gonna have a couple of things, and maybe something from Weeders at that time. Anything else for parks that we might need to know about ahead of time? Okay.
I think it's just an electrical issue.
Okay.
I got a question. When did we label him as superintendent? When did that come about?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
When did,
Mark has been cemetery and park superintendent for
I didn't know he
years.
was superintendent.
Yes, he's been cemetery and park superintendent, 8 years?
Well, not quite that long.
6? It's been
That
several
was back
years.
when
Paula Johnson
Paula
appointed him to
Johnson
that
was mayor.
position that many years ago. So whenever Paula Johnson was mayor.
Just asking.
Yeah, I was
I've
like,
seen a lot of labels on stuff. I'm just asking.
yes. We'll have the clerk reports, which are already in here, and then our transfers from the revenue. I'm teaching Tammy how to do the revenue transfers because it can get quite complicated sometimes, and what documents that she needs to do those things with. Utility clerk reports, I'm assuming that all of Sophie's reports are in this packet.
They're at the back. I just
It looked like they were either.
Okay, cool. Alderman reports on the north side, do you have anything over and above that would be written out besides your building roofing?
If I can get it together by Tuesday for us to look over a new police policy manual.
Wonderful.
It's coming from a couple other cities that Danny Morrison requested. That's where we go.
Mm-hmm.
So
So we can get that
they've been more than helpful. I'll put it that way.
Great.
And so that's been a bonus. They didn't even bulk when I asked them what, because it's not like it's a couple of pages.
Right. So, Southward Alderman, do you have anything that's going to be over and above just your general things that you need to?
I just had questions about 5% sales tax for the 10 years. Exclusively for the city streets, sidewalks, curbs, and gutters. Just wanted to know where that fund for sure was. And
Oh, that is, street sidewalks and all, that is your street improvement sales tax. Okay, that is not to be confused with street and alley. That's different. Street and alley is your fuel and motor vehicle taxes. So this one is, street and alley is considered restricted. Street improvements is considered very restricted. Okay?
it was exclusive for that. The other one
Yes.
was the 1%.
The public safety tax at the 1%, that one is split 70-30 for PD and fire department.
Emergency.
And basically emergency management. So like if we had something for emergency management, we would have to commingle these two funds to bring it out.
So anyway, do we have the exact amount that's in those accounts?
We have, yes, I believe so. The public safety, I know I was looking at it the other day, it's right at $30,000 for the first 6 months of the year for income for the police department. So that's that 70%. So
Is that on our
For
reports?
6 months.
yeah, for the first 6 months of the year for the police department isn't right at $30,000. And it's not gonna get any better because Family Dollar shut down and Ball's Cafe. So
So the fire department said that was.
the fire department gets the other 30% of that. It's easier to calculate it off of fire because they don't have anything else. And I don't know who changed it or when. I think Teresa may have. She was putting the PD money into the general admin instead of into the police account. So we'll have to do some transfers and move that back into that. I mean, we have it on a line item, but the line item is mixed in here, and that's not accurate. So that's gotta be put to the correct line item. But the line item does show in the line that's attached to
That was like
this.
4 years ago when that was changed.
No, it was changed in the last year. This is just this month's report.
You said that Teresa moved it.
I believe, well, I don't know that Teresa moved it. I haven't gone that far back and looked. Because as I'm going through with the auditors and catching these things, I'm putting them in their correct places. And that's what we're doing. But like this month, the fire sales tax is $21.70, and that is 30% of the grand total. The grand total is not in here for some reason. It's
You
here.
didn't catch them back before August of last year.
I wasn't here.
I thought you were fixing the books or whatever.
In
But they had-
21, not any farther than that. 21 is what I was correcting. Yeah, no.
That's what I'm asking.
I
I
wasn't
just want
going any
clarification.
further than 21, because I was like, no, we can do up to 21, get these audited, and by then you should have everything straightened out. Because Teresa was doing well, and she was doing a good job, as far as I know. But these little things is what the problem is on some of those.
So it's just put in a general account, it wasn't.
It was
the
putting in the
raised.
general account instead of that line item account.
Okay, but
But if you look at Sophie's Excel sheets, so when you look at Sophie's Excel sheets, here, and this is on the page that has all the listing, okay? You will have county, here, PD Public Safety, right here. It's, the, next to the last page, okay? And it's underneath total tax, and it says county collected taxes, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4. It says PD Public Safety. Do you see that line? And when you draw that line over to this 5,236.85, that is what the PD Public Safety brought in July, and that would be anything, and that's probably one of the bigger months, because people from June, they're paying their 6-month taxes. That's what's coming in at this time. So if you pay your taxes monthly, or if you pay them quarterly, pay them annually. Annually, you usually get them in February. January, February. A lot of the smaller businesses do that. Your midline businesses will do them every 6 months. The city here, we do ours quarterly here. So depending on how much income you bring in, that's what the state wants you to turn in at the right time.
So then what's the total amount in that account?
Well, this does not have it on there, so I just know when I looked at it a couple of weeks ago, I was looking at the 6-month numbers, and it was right around $30,000 as far as the income into the PD. Now, the expense lines for the PD is about $38,000. So,
And if that money's not spent each year, it just stays in there, it doesn't, I mean, it just keeps adding up, correct?
it will roll over, yes.
Okay.
But when you budget, you only budget for that year. Because you keep that money just in case, like if you need the car repaired, you still have that in reserve. So a little bit of padding in that account is a good idea. Like if, you need a new roof on your police building, or new radio, or something comes up in a new software that you have to purchase, that's where that comes from.
Can we get the total of what's in that account available for the next meeting, please? That way we could see what we have in there, because I mean, over the years, even when we didn't have law enforcement.
Right, but you still
that
have,
should have
you
added
still
up.
have expenses.
Well, yeah, so
'Cause you
I'd
have
like to see what
insurance and
was,
car maintenance and,
but there
building
should be a
all
nice
of that.
cushion that should have
Well,
been in there.
You would hope so.
Yeah.
But until it's audited, I'm not gonna say that it's accurate, because that's one of the things the auditor does, is he goes through that and makes sure that those line items are correct.
Yeah,
So
I'd like
that's,
to have that available.
that would be an unaudited report, so that I'm not gonna say that it's,
That's fine.
that's why we have audits.
Tracy, may I ask a
Oh,
question?
sure, I'm sorry. I
No,
didn't
no,
see you.
you're fine. But, you have a 9-to-5er. You're gonna have time to be able to drill down and find, since it was not on the right line item, to pull that amount out. I don't want you to agree to something and then not have the time to do it, because you do have a life outside of here and work.
Well, if Sophie's reports are accurate, which I have no reason to believe that they are not, her Excel sheets has a grand total line on them that is tabulated on the 6-month and the annual. If all the formulas are okay, I should be able to at least tell you what the income was. Now, as far as the expenses, yeah, you can print that out. I think that a fairly easy thing to do, as long as the invoices were entered correctly, which some of those were not at the beginning of the year. We're still working on trying to find those, because things were not put in their correct line items. I'm working with Tammy to make sure that when something says police, it comes out of the 01 PD, and the fire is the 01 FD, or the 01 FD, to make sure they're coming out of the correct line items, cash lines, rather. Correct cash count. And I know John usually takes his and writes them all out where they come from on his items, so the invoices just need to be marked accurately.
Can we get a vendor's report too?
A what?
A vendor's report?
Like for the month? Because on your claims list, I believe, Tammy, where's your claims list at here? Your claims report. It's listed out with your individual vendors, with your amounts. I'm sorry, Larry.
Oh, I was
You had your
just
hand
going,
up.
yeah, I was just, just talking about streets, I believe north and south, and tell you about we worked out a deal with Polk County Road and Bridge, getting real cold patch rolled in at a much discounted rate than anyone that we could get it from. I'm sure they can tell you vouch for how amazing it is. If we can continue working with him, it'd be well to our benefit to repair some of the streets. You guys just started using it this week, right?
Yesterday,
Was it just yesterday?
just yesterday.
It's the equivalent of hot mix without the heat. So they weren't lying. I think the load was just over $1,400 delivered here. So that was worth the effort dealing with Polk County, in my opinion.
I think, Tammy, on this Missouri Municipal League invoice, shouldn't that be, for you and Sophie? So this should be for clerk conference, not just, so it needs to say clerk conference.
Okay. I think if it's on there, my name is on there, it's just not on that line.
Oh, 'cause not enough character space, okay. Alright, so is this good enough or do you want a different vendor list?
Do we have a different vendor list?
Well, you can do another one, but it's just gonna be the same thing, but broken down into every tiny line item if you want. Like where the Liberty Utilities, all the departments would be listed out, so it'd be like 6 pages instead of 1. But 2, if you want a specific invoice, Tammy can bring that up for you, and you can take a look at that
I'll
anytime.
look over it and email it.
Do you want us to see the invoices? You can go in there and just pull the file and look through it.
I'll just look through it. Email it, and we'll save time.
Well, it's like 20 pages for each invoice. Because that's what Liberty does now.
Yeah, I know.
Or if you just want to see the front page of this with the invoice broken down. Because you can do a report with these itemized out, or do you want to see the actual invoice? Or maybe one invoice with these broken down.
Probably one invoice with those broken down.
Okay, so if you would, make a copy of one invoice, like the front page that has all the individual line items. And then, do you want this whole report or just this one for Liberty? I mean, it's not a big deal to do it, it's just, you need to tell it what to do.
Just give me the whole thing.
Okay, so do I'm just gonna give you this one back. Detailed claims report. And just put it in everybody's box. And then do one copy of the Liberty bill. Just so they can see the formatting. There you go. And that way. Okay. Okay, so all of your other stuff is in here, and I wanted to go over with you, since we now have quite a large amount in our checking accounts. When you add them all up, we are required to do this ordinance. Has to be done by September 15th, or you're in violation.
Well,
It's,
not necessarily in violation, you just have to do things a different
Spend
way.
the money on some roads.
I don't feel like we can just jump to that conclusion because
Yeah, well, they sent a nice little email that says this has to be done by September 15th.
Okay.
So I would prefer to go with that.
No, it
I
makes-
don't want to get in trouble with the state of Missouri.
No, it makes life easier.
Yes, it does. So this ordinance copy for the one that we put, bill number 04-2024, it's toward the end of your packet. This is something that I think actually the state, Tammy, is that where we got this from?
The Ethics Commission.
The Ethics Commission, you went on their website and printed this off. So, all this says is then when we sign up for office, on your little sheet that says, A and B, like which one of those you get, like if you're less than $1 million or more than $1 million, you gotta click the box that says it's $1 million, and if you receive any monies from the state of Missouri, you must report, or from the city of Humansville, you must report them at that time.
And why is it only for 2 years?
What?
Why is the ordinance only for 2 years?
You have to do that all the time.
Do it every 2 years?
Uh-huh. Every election cycle thingy.
Yes.
Yes, so, yeah, this is not what we do as a thing for us. This is what the state says we have to do. So, just so you're aware, this has gotta be
Say we have
passed at the meeting.
You say we have a substantial amount. What is the amount?
Well, your bank statements are in there.
You don't want to disclose it to the public?
Yeah, let's just not.
Why not?
Let's just not.
Public information.
Sure it is. It's kind of like giving
Did
out
you,
bank account numbers. Let's not do that.
Bank account numbers on the
Well,
bottom of
the
every
ARP
check that you write to
would
anybody.
Definitely put us over the top, correct?
Yes, the ARPA funds has put us over the top. So if you're less than $1 million, you don't do this. If you're more than $1 million, you do it. There's no choice.
So, once our ARPA funds are expended, odds are we'll probably revert back to the under million budget, or under million revenue again.
Well, I mean, by the time we get done with the whole audit shenanigans and everything
We'll be
else,
back.
We'll be broke. Yeah,
we'll be bankrupt.
probably. Okay, so
Let's be ready.
that's this conflict of interest ordinance. The KPM audit, I would like to hear the 2020 audit, and if they have the 2021 audit, I would like to hear it as well. Would anybody else like to hear this?
I would love to hear
Yeah.
anything and
Would you
everything.
like to hear this?
Where they're at? What do y'all
Well,
say?
they have to give us a report, oral report, correct? For each year they've done?
They prefer doing oral, but I don't know that he's actually gonna come or if he's just gonna send
If
it.
you just send it, well, either way. I would be-
Either way, I would be happy,
Yes, amen.
because we need to know. So, speaking of the KPM audit, there is an email in here where we must move some money. Where's that at? There it
Here's
is.
mine, would you like it?
Well, mine's in this pile. Yes, here we go. So,
There we go.
in just looking at where we could move this money from, and I don't know what happened in 2020 that they are this way, but I know that Mr. Wallace did mention that since we were being very specific with some of where our monies were actually being paid from and not doing the transfers every quarter like what they did the prior year, this was likely to come up. The board at that time just said they would address it at the end of the year. And so that did not get done because it did not get audited. So we need to find a way to move $73,487 into the general fund from one of the other reserve accounts. Now, this would not be a gift. This would be a loan. Part of it may be like a gift, like a $10,000 or $12,000, but the loan would have to come from, I'm going to guess, the number 6 reserve, as we are not using that currently. And that is a water reserve. It is not going to break the water account, but by the time we get it paid back, they would have what they need to finish functioning in that reserve account. Because that's what they use to clean the water towers and do the water inspections with.
Right.
They did an inspection, Mark, 2 years ago?
Yes.
So give or take 2 years ago, and they are due every 5 years? Every 5 years. So in 3 years or so, we should have the majority of that paid back, I would hope. So, if you want to make a motion about this so we can let Matt know, or Mr. Wallace know that this is what we are going to do, fine. I think it would be great, and I'm encouraging that. But as far as financing it goes, we would be losing, we wouldn't really be losing anything, because we're just moving the money.
Are you moving the money or are
We're
you
just
showing
move-
it on paper?
We're moving the money on paper.
That's different. Yeah.
Yes, so we're not going to be losing any interest on that. But the board is, or the water department would be loaning the general fund this money, because it does have to be paid back. So like they could be on a schedule and pay back so many dollars a month over to the water department from one of the general accounts, which is probably gonna be the general cash and bank account, that's why it's important for us to keep those
Like it
PD
complicates
funds
everything
and,
quite a bit.
well, sure it does. That's the way the world works anymore.
I don't know about all that.
So, I don't mind borrowing it from that particular line item, because we will not be using it for a little while, and it does have, quite a bit of cash in there. But there's really no other serviceable
item again?
place to borrow it from. The 06 reserve line. It's loan 06 reserve. If you look at your financial sheet, which would be your financial treasurer's report, this one here that says treasurer, it would be the halfway down the page, says cash and bank loan number 2 reserve. We could take that and put it into the cash and bank. I believe admin general is what he's talking about by this email.
Wouldn't it have been done from the past account if that's at 2020?
It has to be dated, backdated to that point, yes.
And what was that account at that time?
It's still this. It hasn't changed.
Okay.
We are not putting any funds into this one now, because this is now the 2022 reserve down here, a few spaces down. This one right now is stagnant. At this time it was not, but it is as of 2022. So we still have enough money in here to do the 70-some thousand. And it's not gonna hurt our books from then, and it's not gonna hurt our books now. But we could start the repayment plan, whenever you like. We could do it at the beginning of the year, we could do it at, beginning November. That's kind of what the consensus needs to be, is what kind of a percentage payback are you going to have?
Now, if I'm
Yes,
getting
please.
this, I'm sorry. If I'm getting this correct, we're just basically moving, nothing but, we're just moving, but we're not actually spending. We're just moving
Right,
it from
we're
one
just-
account to another, and then as we're doing the repayment back, all we're doing is
It's moving it from one to the
removing a
other.
portion back to the account we originally
Right.
moved it from on paper, but
We
not to
do
be
that
spent.
currently with street improvements and street
Right.
and alley into the capital equipment accounts for street improvements and street and alley, and for water
All
sewer.
of that? I thought those funds are specifically for roads.
Right, well, we do that. It goes to the capital equipment for those, for street. Street improvements and street and alley, every month, transfer $190 each into a capital equipment account for street.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it stays street to street, but we just move it over there so that they can buy large equipment. Capital equipment is large purchases.
I got that.
Yeah.
Just making sure we're not pulling from
Nope.
funds that we're not supposed to be tampering with.
No, we don't do that.
All right. Just checking.
Yes.
This is something that should have been done years ago.
It
correct?
should have been done in 2020 at the end of the year, correct?
Hey, just
Or 2021,
out of-
anytime.
Out of curiosity, why wasn't that done?
Good question.
Well, for one, they usually did it when they did the audit.
Okay.
The auditor would come in with a report like this one and say, this is what you need to move.
Okay.
So when it got close to the audit, they would do a pre-audit like in February. And then, because they come in and they run through those reports and say, this is what you need to transfer. And you can date it December to move this money. And they did that for years.
Okay.
Because of the pre-audit would say, this is an estimate of what we need to move.
Okay. And I guess that audit wasn't done?
That audit was not done.
Okay. How come?
You refused to let them in. Is that good enough?
The board
Clerk? The clerk.
the city clerk at that time was not
Spit it out.
adept enough at that time, knowledgeable enough at that time to understand that when the auditors come in, you let them in and do their job.
Okay.
She was not prepared, so she told them that she didn't want them in the building, so they left.
It was the
Not
city clerk at
once.
that time.
How many times did she come? Or they did twice. Twice she did that to them.
Okay.
And that's why we did not get audited. And then when you get kicked off their schedule, it takes you quite a bit of time to get back on.
Okay. But is it KPM? They've been working on it?
Yes.
Why
This
haven't-
is the last thing, is what I'm understanding. This is the last thing that they need to, that, and they are most of the way through 21.
Okay.
So I would love to have them at a minimum give us this report for 2020, and this will, because he just wants to know if we're moving it and when we're moving it and how much we're moving it from where. That's
Okay.
what he needs to know.
Gotcha. Okay.
Point of order question or just question?
Who was the city clerk at that time?
Shelley Barley. Yeah, just say it.
So, do we need to make a motion on this tonight,
You
or
know,
does this have to be?
well, I
on
would prefer
Tuesday?
that we could get it done and then maybe by Tuesday, Mr. Wallace, I'm sorry, Mr. Wallace could get back with us on a time frame to get the report to us. That's what I'm hoping. So if you want to just make the transaction now and then at the Tuesday decide how much money to move back per month, that would be okay too, because that would be a separate motion anyway.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to, do a loan to the, general fund. The loan to come from loan number 2 reserve.
No, yeah, number 6 reserve.
Oh, number 6?
Yeah.
Number 6
No,
reserve.
it has to be number 2 reserve.
Oh, I'm sorry. You are correct. I'm sorry.
Loan number 2
I wrote
reserve.
6 in my notes. No, 2 reserve, sorry.
That's what I was just gonna ask, because I was like, there's not enough in the 6.
Good job, guys. Good job.
For the amount of $73,487 to correct our audit for 2020.
For 2020. Okay.
I'll second.
Since this is such a large amount of money, I think we probably need to do a roll call
I think
vote.
I believe so.
Just we'll do it.
When you're ready, Tammy.
Alderman Albright,
Yes.
Alderman Winkler,
Yes.
Alderman Thomas,
Yes.
Alderman Shannon.
Yes.
And then Tuesday, we discuss the amount, correct?
I think that would be appropriate. That's fine. So we have the motion, the second, the roll call, the motion carries. Yeah, I think maybe mull it over a little bit and see, like, if you want to do a percentage or if you would want to do a set amount. I would prefer a set amount, but we can't make it too high because we don't have a lot of money in general to speak of.
Well, that's what I'm wondering, what can we afford to pay back each
Well,
month?
it's all on paper.
It's all.
Right, it's all on paper,
By the
so
time they get to
still.
the president, it's gonna be paid
Okay,
back.
so
They
then
have
it's
to-
just
Whatever they do
paper.
here, they're gonna have to move it to the next year,
I'm,
to the
yeah,
next
to the next year,
year.
to the next year,
Okay.
right. I'm going to seem, I don't wanna overput, so I'm gonna just say like a $500 a month until we get the audits done and complete and we actually know where we sit. That's just a suggestion, you guys think it over. So, now, are you guys willing to go ahead and hear the 2020 audit and get that done, and hopefully 2021 as soon as possible? If they're most of the way done and through it, I would like to get it done ASAP.
I'll hear him out.
Is that a yes? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes! We have a general consensus that we want to hear the audits.
We want to do a motion, vote on it.
Sure, if you want to make a motion, we'll do that.
My motion, we get our 20 and 21 and whatever else audits. KPM, ASAP.
I'll second that motion.
You're gonna have to move that line item into the other years.
Oh, yeah, you do that in your budgets. When we do our budgeting, we'll budget a line item for that.
I mean, from the past, 2021 is gonna have to show the adjustment.
Yeah, the auditors actually do some sort of they call it an audit adjustment line, and they actually make that transaction for us in our books. And I don't know.
Just wanna make sure.
Yes, the auditors have their own line that says audit adjustments, and then they take care of that part. Or they tell us how to do it, and then we do it, and put per auditor on the report line. Yes. Okay, we have a motion and a second to go forward with that. All we need on this is an all in favor. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay, so on our ARPA funds, we have to have those obligated by the end of the year. I need for you guys to really be thinking about this. I would really like to use some of those reserve accounts, and I know that we just spent some of that reserve money, but I would like to use some of that reserve money to pay for the meters and release that other ARPA money up for the community building repairs.
I thought that money was already spent on meters.
Now, it's on paper. We have not done all of those transactions yet because we've not got to that part in the audit process yet.
Have we received anything from Highway Patrol on that investigation?
He told me he sent it up the line, did not have any issues with it, but it's in the upper echelons supposedly, unless U.S. Bank has not gotten him his bank statements yet.
So we haven't got the final report?
No,
then?
not final,
Okay, that's
no.
what I was wanting to know.
So, according to the ARPA rules, as long as we can make any changes we want to until the end of the year. And after the end of the year, we cannot make any further changes. So it's a floating line.
Why
As
would
long as we have the money to do it in the other deal,
If they got money in the sewer and water account, why don't we pull the money for the meters for that, use that money for something else?
we can't.
Okay.
Water needs to stay in water. Water and sewer need to stay
Well,
in their own
it is for
department.
water and sewer for meters.
Yes, we can pay for the water, and we can pay for the water meters with water sewer money.
And then we can use,
Then we can free up the ARPA money that we said that we was gonna use for the meters and put that into the community building. It's, there's a form that we fill out on the ARPA website that will allow us to do that without an issue.
Can't we use that to be fixing up some of our roads?
You could, but what are you gonna pay for the community building roof out of? And we'll still have some ARPA money left because we reserved some for the fire department, for their truck. But then if we can relieve that and let,
Weights are still in the same exact spot every time, so it,
yeah, I remember at one time they went down the alleys. They didn't go down the
they
street.
used to. They can't now because we have apparently a whole lot more people using, like Garrison, they use a larger truck now.
Yeah, the larger
Right.
trucks, yeah, heavier vehicles.
West Polk Sanitation, has a heavier truck because of the volume of trash that's produced. So I mean, it's
Maybe it should be an
it's just something that happens.
Well, if we want to designate them on certain streets, then those streets have to be in good repair for them to travel up and down. But it is something to consider, to say we only want them to be on these streets, or they can only bring in the smaller trucks, which all it's gonna do then is raise our trash bills.
Didn't we offer a trash service at one time?
Did we?
Yeah, I thought we did.
I don't remember them ever
I don't
having
believe
a
we
trash
ever-
service.
We've got some that are running right now that probably should.
No, I mean that the city owned.
No,
I don't think they've
No, I
never.
don't mean city owned.
Oh,
I mean, we
I'm
had
sorry.
a specific contractor, I thought, that the city ran with for a while.
They brought that to the board, and it was a tie vote. That was Mayor Jenkins that did that, and it was pretty contentious out in the community, and it only applied to residential, not commercial. And it was like a 50-50 thing with the surveys that came back, because we sent out surveys, and it was right at 50-50. There was no overwhelming on either side, and it was pretty contentious. And so he decided to not do it at that time, but then to readdress it. But then the next mayor did not readdress it. So, but you could sure do that. You could get bids from the trash companies and just have one company come in. But
It'll be the same thing. I mean,
Well,
you'd have to
we
go
would
to-
have
it
it,
would still
but
be the same
You'd have to go to
process.
the people and see what.
Well, we just did a survey. We sent out surveys, and they mailed them back in or dropped them back off, and it.
Delivery trucks,
Delivery trucks are the same way. The
We're-
ones that
we're
go up to
talking
Northwood
box
Hills
trucks,
tear the daylights out of it up there.
Right.
They usually run a
Yeah.
short truck.
They weren't. They were forced to, because that one driver kept going off in the ditch, and he finally got stuck in the ditch because he was bringing a 53-footer up there.
well, Garrettson's, and the reason I use Garrettson's is because they went from a single axle to a dual axle because of the volume that they have.
West Polk is a dual axle too. I
It
think.
is now, and they were a single axle then. I wanna say, was it just Dump It?
Kirksey had a small truck.
Kersey had a smaller truck.
Yeah, it was
Just
a
Dump It had
single.
I think,
a
yeah.
pickup truck with sides on it,
Right.
which shouldn't be allowed, but.
Yeah.
Well, I know if you ask for a smaller truck in town, they're gonna raise it.
They're gonna raise the
Oh, yeah.
rates,
Oh,
and
yeah.
gosh, ours is now
It's
$20
gonna
a
take
gallon.
more trips, it's gonna take more trips for them to
Right,
come.
and gas is high, so
Right.
they're not gonna do it. But I mean, something to consider is maybe going to one company and seeing what we could work with. I mean, it doesn't hurt to bid it out.
Well, if you can if you can do something like that, you're still gonna end up with a dual axle truck. But
Unless you
but
specify in the
if-
contract.
But if you go to the companies and have them give you like an annual bid on the thing.
Well, what they
then
do
it
is
may
they bill the
actually
city.
Lower some of the people's trash
Yeah.
costs.
And some of them will bill the city pays that once a month, and then the city collects the trash fees. I don't like that part of it, because then it's,
You're stuck with the bill.
yeah.
Well, didn't Oliver did that for a while, but didn't they get away from it?
Oh,
because of
yeah,
that?
because it was costing them way too much money.
Those
Okay.
two are the same thing.
Yeah. Okay, so just a thing to consider, the police department restructure, as Gary told you, he's working on the policy manual. That's the first step. The second step is to make sure all of our ordinances are up to date and in place and are accurate. And then the third step is to look for an officer or figure out a budget. I am speaking with Sheriff Morrison about a couple of different options, and that he's actually brought up. So ideas are being passed around to, consider, and maybe what would be feasible for both entities, kind of thing. I don't have anything else on this list. Was there something else that I was going to bring up?
Yeah, oh,
Tammy, did I hit all the highlights?
Yeah.
On the restructure was Sharon.
Pardon?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sharon.
but he's running some stuff, and we're supposed to run some stuff, and until we get those, a couple of audit backs and see actually where we are with those numbers and get those numbers in the right categories, it's gonna be kinda hard to figure out. I mean, I can do rough numbers, but not exact numbers. I mean, that's just part of it. This is what the average is for the last 6 months, we can double that, and this is what we had, and that we can double that kind of thing. But it's not gonna have anywhere near close, it'll just be an estimate.
No.
And since our income is going to drop, I want to lowball it instead of highball it, because if you don't have any businesses, you're not gonna be able to run anything.
I just wanna see what's been brought in, cause we should have a cushion there from the times we didn't have.
Right, the cushion is one thing, but how long is it gonna last? You know, because just running the rough numbers, 30,000 versus almost 40,000 in expenses for the first 6 months, it's not gonna take long to run through that.
Police department isn't supposed to fund itself all up.
No, but that's why we have the tax. Oh, thank you, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
But that's why we have that tax, is to help that. And, you know, the court is never gonna make any money. That's just all there is to it. The court is basically a write-off no matter what you do, because the laws, what is the percentages? 10 or 12? Tammy, do you know? I know you and Sophie's been working on that report.
Yeah, it's the Max Creek law, but that's
Yes.
been amended a couple of times.
Yeah, I want to say it's like 15%.
Yeah.
The court can only bring in less than 15% of your general revenue, not all of your revenue, just your general revenue. Well, our general revenue is just the sales taxes in general. So that's our public tax and our general tax, and that's pretty much it. So you're talking 15% of $100,000. That is not a lot. So, unless they've changed the rule again, which they have like every other year, on what classifies general revenue. Does water sewer count for general? Street does not. They have flip-flopped that water thing 10 times in the last 20 years. So you never know exactly what that is until you call them and you say, hey, do we get to count this year or not? And then if you run over, which we have a couple of times, we have to write a check to the Polk County Treasurer, and then they send that check to the school.
Oh, I know.
So-
I don't need to waste the paper.
That's the way that goes.
We just killed 27
I know,
trees.
I prefer not to kill it.
You want a copy? You want a copy?
So, any questions on any of that? I know it's been a lot of information, but the packet is pretty good size. And does anybody else have any questions? Yes, we need to. 5-minute break. You can make your copies and we
Yeah.
can take a quick
Did
break.
you want a
too.
copy of them? As well, these are the low bids, because there's no reason to do the high bids that are $20,000 higher than the others.
I would think that we would want one of all of them, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I would like one of all of them.
Yeah, I think all of them, Gary, I'm sorry, but I think so,
Probably be a smart way.
yeah, just to throw them out there.
And like I said, Quality Roofing didn't get.
Session.
Oh, you guys need a copy of this? You know what foam looks like?
Yeah. I didn't get a copy of it.
Well, actually, okay, so, let's get my agenda out here.
Well, I thought that was the last thing.
Well, do we want to go into closed session for?
Oh, for sidelines.
Yes, for 610-021. 021 or 210? Okay, hiring, firing, personnel. Do you have any legal tonight?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I feel like it needs to be addressed because technically he's not considered an employee because it's not been adopted by the ordinance.
Okay,
Like, there's
so-
several things that need to be looked at because they're not by ordinance.
Okay, so we need a motion.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to go into closed session for section 610.021, hiring and firing,
Do personnel just in case we cross the line.
personnel as well.
We have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call, Tammy, if you would please.
Alderman Thomas,
Yeah.
Alderman Albright,
Yes.
Alderman Winkler,
Yes.
Alderman Shannon,
Yes.
Okay, so do you want to go in there or just have everybody else? Do you guys mind going on a smoke break?
I don't see.
Oh,
I was gonna say, can we do it in here with recording devices going on?
no, not closed
Oh, not
session.
closed session.
Absolutely not.
We did it in here last time. That's what I was getting at.
Yeah, but everything was shut off. That phone
That's
wasn't
what I-
here because Esther took it out and then
I'm saying
Elvis
because of
was
the
off.
cameras.
Oh, they don't have voice.
I would like to go somewhere else to do it.
Okay, leave your phones out here, please.
Esther, are you gonna stay in here?
Yeah, we'll be here.
I'll keep an eye on it.
Sile, if you'll hang out, we may need to talk to you too. Well, I'm not sure.
Will whistle.
Robert,
Whistle. That
actually,
fixed my
your
back.
phone, your
You better get a piece of pizza or something.
It's heavy.
Oh my goodness.
The only way I'm coming on home. If I smell food,
Here's
yeah,
Robert's.
I'm right.
Okay.
What food?
They need to come in.
Oh,
Well,
is there anyone
Good
that's
call.
left out there? I guess.
Thank you, Saul.
We're gonna come back into adjourn, right? Or we're gonna vote on that. I
We
guess.
have to vote on fairness and vote on
Oh,
side.
Do you mind just leave there?
So we need to do the motion.
all these people sitting here.
Look like
You didn't flush that goldfish, now, did you?
No, training certifications.
Mhm.
Yeah, we might have to repeat ourselves on that. Training certifications is complete. And Gary, I'm looking for a word for the policy.
there.
Training is complete and as per the, just put as per the policy. As per the policy.
familiarize yourself. I mean, it's pretty simple. It's just whenever you know you're gonna have more than 12 hours of comp, to tell whomever, say, hey, I'm taking a half day off, you know. That'll be kind of nice for you too.
So, we will send contract.
And then
I'm
what you
thinking we
do,
need to do that.
you drive past while you're watching
Send the contract.
Mr.
People from
One Arm and Mr. One,
Mr.
fill a hole.
Okay,
Okay, so we wanna do Janice first or Sal first? Okay, somebody pick.
I will go ahead and make a motion to rescind the contract or previous contract that the city had with Mr. Lang.
And Mr. Lang, do you approve of rescinding your contract, the current contract dated 3/18 of 24?
Yes.
Okay, and then just let it be known that he has no objections. Mr. Lang has no objections. Is there a second?
I will second the motion.
We'll do a roll call on this because it is employment. Tammy, if you would please.
Alderman Winkler? Yes. Alderman Shannon?
Yes.
Alderman Thomas?
Yes.
Alderman Albright?
Yes.
Okay, roll call, motion carries.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to go ahead and, hire Mr. Silang as operator at 1825 with no increase until his certifications are, until his certifications have been had or complete as per the policy manual.
I'll second the motion.
Motion is second to hire Sia Lang, 1825 an hour, with no increases in pay until his certificates are all complete, and follows the policy manual. Say that.
Sounds right.
So let's do a roll call on that. Tammy, if you would please.
Alderman Albright?
Yes.
Alderman Thomas? Alderman Winkler? Aye. Alderman Shannon?
I
That motion carries. Yay, you're all switched up.
nothing's changed.
Nothing's changed. Okay, and then we want to talk about Janice Lee is her name, Janice Lee.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to hire Miss Janice Lee as part-time, 18 to 20 hours a week for office duties.
I think it's 13.50 an hour.
13.50 an hour.
I'll second that motion.
It's office duties, or she can fill other roles too.
I'm sorry,
She can get fill other roles too, or just.
just strictly in the office.
Alright.
Yeah, not outside.
No
Unless you
passion
need her to
points.
run errands to town or something like that, then. Yeah, just in the building, yeah. Roll call, please.
Alderman Thomas.
Aye.
Alderman Winkler. Aye. Alderman Shannon.
Aye.
Alderman Albright.
Aye.
somebody needs to discuss something we haven't already discussed, but, oh, football, right?
Amen.
Make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Okay.
I second. All in favor?
Yeah,
Aye.
I'm writing, Gary.
Oh.
All in favor?
We said aye.
Okay.
Aye.
All in favor, motion carries.
Aye.
Okay.
Everybody have a great evening.
Thank you. I'm sorry it took so long, but we had lots of stuff to go over. But it's gonna be shorter on Tuesday. Yes, it will be. I hope.